Alvin Kamara talks about his role in the new Saints offense. We are here. NewOrleans.football is the background. We are using their video because they have the best audio, they have the best video quality, and I know that that's something that y'all desire. So, quick housekeeping before we get into the video. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm filming this on a Wednesday. On Thursday, aka June 13th, I will be going live again, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., 2 hours live. It was so much fun last week. We did a couple live reactions. We listened to voice messages. We answered your questions in chat, all that fun stuff. So we will be doing that again tomorrow, aka June 13th, live right here on YouTube, on this channel, on Twitch, and on Twitter. So if you want to give me a video to react to, go put it on the subreddit or send it to me on Twitter or Instagram. And if you want to hear your voice message heard, go to speakpipe.com and put it there. All right, so here we are. Alvin Kamara interview. So Alvin has been absent from OTAs. He's been absent from practice, even though he's been in the building. We did get confirmation from Klint Kubiak that AK-41 has been in the building. So this is going to quell, word of the day, this is going to quell a lot of people's, or I hope so at least, their kind of worry about Alvin's absence, right? It's a new offense, it's a new era, it's a new chapter, all of that for the New Orleans Saints. So you want to see your guy, who I've picked to have the biggest breakout season with Klint Kubiak. You want to see him in the building. So I'm glad he's here. He's usually a great interview. Alvin is usually very outspoken. He's usually very honest. And when it comes to player interviews, that's what you want, right? So let's go ahead and listen to what he's got to say. We'll react that only I can do. New hat, by the way. Get in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the hat. Personally, I love it. One of the best hats I've ever seen.
That's where minicamp. Getting back into the flow of things. How you feeling so far?
I feel fine, man. I'm just because I'm not here don't mean I'm not working. I'm doing what I got to do, so I feel good. Yeah, I feel good.
Well, obviously, that means you've heard some of the noise about you not being here, just being here and just silencing any of that criticism. Is that really, where is that on your checklist?
During the offseason, I don't look at nothing football related. So what's the noise?
You hadn't been here, man. The new offense, trying to get adjusted to. How's that going?
It was good. Was I here last year? During OTA? Anybody can answer that? Was I here last year for OTA? Yeah. Did I? The year before?
Man, hey, look, he came in hot. I'll give him, like I say, he's an honest guy, right? So Alvin, and I kind of let that go because it was getting a little contentious. Second word of the day. My God, what a video. It was getting a little contentious there. So Alvin obviously has heard the noise. I mean, he's coming in hot. He's coming in, pushing back a little bit. I do agree. There's two parts to this that I agree with. I agree with Alvin that just because he's not in the building doesn't mean he's not working. It's not that big of a deal if he's not there, but he's doing stuff outside of the facilities. If he's still having conversations with the coaches and the players and all that, like just because he's not at OTAs doesn't mean he's not all in on this team. Other side of the aisle is that if you are Alvin, you have to expect to get this kind of reaction. You have to expect to get this kind of, you're the guy. You are the guy. You are the focal point of the offense. If the media is there every single day and they don't see you, and the media is trying their hardest to write headlines and trying their hardest to get clicks and trying their hardest to get views, they're going to make a big deal out of it. Personally, I've said a million times on here, I don't think it's that big of a deal with Marshawn or Alvin Kamara not being at OTAs. I don't think it's that big of a deal. The whole Marshawn holdout, we talked about that of why the contract is how it is. And I don't think it's that big of a deal with Alvin. Alvin, like he said, is a guy who disconnects during the offseason, and that's fine. He's been in the building. Kubiak told us that. So it's not like he's just declining all of Kubiak's calls. So whatever he's got to do to get himself ready to roll, as long as he is ready to roll, I'm okay with it. Now, if Alvin's behind, and as far as learning the offense or learning all of that and whatnot, that's a different story. I have a sneaky feeling he will not be behind, and I have full faith in Alvin.
I'm good, man. It's a new offense. I think I've been in contact with Clint, been in contact with guys. I mean, I have a playbook. I got an iPad, so it's fine. I mean, different. It's different when you go do it, right? You know, looking on paper. Like I've never been really a paper guy. I like getting in there and getting into action and doing it. But nothing's changed from what I've been doing the past couple of years.
What do you like about the scheme itself?
I think it's very intentional. The looks and the run looks, pass looks, protection, everything is intentional about this offense. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
That's a great word. I mean, that's a great word, and that's something that is I haven't used that word, but man, it does echo what we've talked about with this offense, where you are doing things for a very specific reason when you're calling plays in this offense. You are every pre-snap motion. Every time you see somebody motion over, every time you see a formation, you can believe that it's there for a reason. Because either we're trying to find out information, we're trying to see something, we're trying to exploit a mismatch, we're trying to get someone open. It is a very intentional offense. And that's why I love it, is because the philosophy of it is so different than Pistol Pete. You know, the fact that Sneaky Pete was basically just had a random wheel on the sideline and was just spinning the wheel, and it'd be like, you know, Vanna White's doing her thing and Pat Sajak's doing his thing, and then the wheel stops, and then Pete says, all right, we're doing this personnel says run play here, and we're doing this run play. And that was just the entire game. It was just complete randomness. There was no rhyme or reason to anything, and he was just crossing his fingers that it worked. This offense is the opposite of that. You know, this offense cannot run like that. It has to run intentional, and I love that word. I will be using that moving forward. It is a very intentional offense, and I've said, and something else I've told y'all to keep an eye and ear on is what these players say in their immediate reaction. The immediate reaction from the players tells you, one, what this new offense has, but it also tells you, two, what the old offense was lacking. Because if you go to a hotel, if you go stay at a resort, you're not going to talk about things that you have at your house, right? You're not going to be like, man, they've got a couch in here. Like, you have a couch at your house. You're going to say they've got stuff that you don't usually see. So when players say it's intentional or it's fast or it's this or it's that, more than likely it's because it's something that was lacking last year, and they're surprised and happy to see it.
You knowing what you're doing, why you're doing it, when you're doing it.
How much of some of these plays, I guess, similar to what you've already done? Because I think DA said a lot of it is pretty similar.
I have no clue what that question was. No clue.
What you've already done? Because I think DA said a lot of it is pretty similar.
No idea.
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of I think opportunities for you to make a play when your number's called. I think even when even when you know there's a play for another guy, I think there's a lot of room in this offense to still be open and available to be able to get a ball or to make an impact on the play.
How excited were you to find out this is the scheme you guys would be running? It seems like a lot of the players were excited to hear about running Klint Kubiak's scheme.
Yeah.
All right, I heard that question. That question was, how excited were you to hear that this is the scheme you would be running, like to be a part of that style of offense? What was your original, your initial thought?
I mean, you saw what he was able to do, so it's definitely exciting.
And what do you think about what it does for the running backs?
You look at the history of this offense. I mean, it's pretty. I just say it's good for the running back.
What's kind of interesting about Alvin is that I believe he's one of those players who really isn't like a huge fan of football and the NFL. This is something that blows people's minds. But a lot of times fans and reporters and media and whoever expect NFL players and other sports too to like really follow the NFL and really care about the game. A lot of players don't. A lot of players do not casually watch the NFL, do not casually keep up with what Rich Eisen's saying on his show or listening to NFL podcasts or whatnot. I know Alvin's a huge NASCAR fan. Like I would, if I was a betting man, I would bet that Alvin has kept up much more with NASCAR since the NFL season has ended than the NFL. Obviously, he knows what's going on with his own team, but I think a lot of these questions of like, what do you think about this system? What do you think about Klint Kubiak, the San Francisco 49ers? And that, I would guess that Alvin has a very tertiary kind of thought of the whole thing. I don't think he's probably casually watching the 49ers games. I don't think he's casually. If you told me that Alvin didn't watch the Super Bowl, I would 100% believe you. 100%. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And I think a lot of people are thrown off by that, by how can you be an NFL player or an MLB player or an NBA player and not watch the games? I mean, I was just listening to a podcast, and they had an NBA player on there, and they asked about, it might have been Kawhi Leonard, and they asked about something that was happening in the league, and the player basically said, like, I do not watch the NBA. I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I don't keep up with it. I just play the game. I just do my thing for my team, but I'm not really a fan of the league. So that's something to remember too, that Alvin may not, I know I'm not trying to say he doesn't know the offense. I'm just trying to say I don't think he was sitting there watching, Christian McCaffrey on his fantasy team, watching 49ers games on Sunday Night Football.
Talk about like everybody learning it together, and that be beneficial. That it's not like Derek parachuting in last year to what I'm doing, others do. They're kind of all starting at the same point this year.
Yeah,
that's my boy. That's the guy. I think it's from Fox, but he asks great questions. So a commenter has told me before who that is, and I always say he asks good questions. I'm trying to think who it is now. But he asked. Now this is a good question for Alvin because Alvin can really speak to this, but. He said, what is the benefit of everyone learning this offense together, starting at day one versus like Derek coming in last year and having to try and play catch up?
I mean, anytime you could do that, obviously it makes a difference. So just being able to, like you said, it's a new system, but everybody starting at the same time, same pace, and just kind of learning it together, it helps.
Darren spoke about you possibly being on kick return a little bit this year with the new rules. What do you think about that?
It is. I've done it before, so it'd be cool.
Anybody else?
Yep.
That was it?
I don't think we were doing the best things.
Okay, I don't know what just happened. We must have had. I mean, this is a different. Let me see what's going on here.
Every week to put ourselves in the best position to win, put ourselves in the best position to make plays.
You kind of, in years past, have talked about getting here and seeing what it looked like, what it felt like.
Yeah, this is a different question. So I guess they ended the interview and then restarted another interview. Or this is spliced together. I'm not sure, but we're gonna keep it rolling.
I don't think we were doing the best things every week to put ourselves in the best position to win, put ourselves in the best position to make plays.
I don't know what the hell the question was there, but I love the answer. The answer was we weren't doing things last year, week in, week out, to put ourselves in the best position to win. That's a direct indictment of Pete Carmichael and the other offensive coaches. I'm telling y'all, every time we hear an interview, it's more and more obvious. They weren't doing nothing. Those coaches didn't know what was going on week in and week out. And it's sad that they wasted a year of my life, a year of Alvin's career, a year of all of your lives, forcing us to watch that and acting like they were trying to be actual NFL coaches. It's crazy. It is really insane that coaching staff got a chance to do what they did. It is Enron levels of fraud.
You kind of, in years past, have talked about getting here and seeing what it looked like, what it felt like, what it's supposed to be at the highest level. Mm-hmm. It's just the off-season, and you've just been here for a day, I guess, so far. But we've been here besides.
Yeah. I get
Do you feel like, does it feel different? Does it feel maybe kind of how you remember, like something great could be happening?
Yeah, I mean, it feels different. You got different coaches, you got different faces in here. Obviously, I haven't been here, but I mean, I know what's going on. I think when you've been in this profession for a minute, you kind of some certain things don't change. Obviously, faces change, coaches change, but I mean, this game don't change. When I'm here, it's the same. I mean, it is what it is. When I leave, it's gonna be the same game. Like, I mean, I guess not because the kickoff rule changed. It might be flag football or something, but it's the same. It's the same, man. But you get the differences come when you. I feel like the preparation and certain standards and things like that. That's when you get changed. Like when you hold yourself to a certain standard. When you prepared a certain way. Just little things like that.
What's it like for you just to learn like a new offensive language after doing the same thing?
Yeah, I mean you get comfortable doing one thing, right? So for me, I don't feel any stress from it. It's just like, okay, I gotta throw away 7 years of the same thing. Like I can come in and I can sleep. I could do it with my eyes closed. And now it's like, okay, I got to pay attention a little bit more, but it's not nothing. It's the same.
Yeah, but that is a positive too, where it forces everyone to kind of take notice. It forces everyone to kind of like come in with a higher level of focus when, like Alvin said, he comes in, if it was the same system as last year, he would come in, he would know exactly what's going on. He wouldn't even really have to think about it. The focus may drop a little bit. You know, he said right there, like I gotta focus a little more. Every player is going to feel that. Every player is going to come into this training camp, OTA, minicamp, whatever, and say, all right, I've never heard these words before. I've never even heard this coach talk before. Like, this is a brand new coach, brand new words, brand new system, brand new plays. I've got to really lock in here to grasp this because we've got the Chiefs coming up. We've got the Eagles coming up. We've got the Cowboys coming up. Like, this all pops off in 80 days, you know.
And just like for an offense as a whole, is there anything that can be gained from kind of just throwing everything out that was kind of built for 20 years and kind of everybody starting out fresh, same page, kind of getting the fresh start poach on that you was kind of delayed a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, change is good. Change is good. Like I said,
change is really good whenever it's gotten very stale. I don't have to sit here and tell you guys that the offense over the last couple of years has been very stale. So change is good anyways, but it's really good in this situation.
I think all of us were a little comfortable. You know, the guys that were here, that have been here. So just starting fresh and everybody starting at the same time, kind of with a different system. I think it'll be beneficial, especially because of what the system is.
The way Derek finished last year, the way he played, you're confident that's going to carry over and we'll see more of that?
Yeah, I think so. He a vet, and I think sometimes last year he wasn't in the best position to make plays. But, I mean, he the quarterback, he the general. He got to go out there and still do what he got to do. So, I mean, he finished well. I've been watching some of the film. I think he's been playing well through OTAs. Camp, I expect him to come in and perform, and then we get into the season, and it's time.
Do you feel like this new offense accentuates what you do best?
Yeah, I think so. Like I said, you watch some of the past offenses that Klint has been able to operate, and then most recent, you look last year, and you look at Christian, what he was able to do. I mean, I'm excited for that.
It's a team sport, but just kind of following up on what Brett said about the stats, individually, do you almost relish the opportunity to say, like, if you forgot about me, don't forget about me?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
So this question, interestingly worded, but this question is pretty much saying, like, man, it was a wild way to word this, but pretty much said, like, last year was a down year. So do you like the back against the wall kind of, hey, I'm still Alvin Kamara, I can still do these things? Do you like that opportunity? I would guess Alvin is unfazed by that. I would guess he is not one of those stat chasing. He's not concerned about the news or the awards or the stats or the talk or any of that stuff. So I don't think just from how I understand him as a player, I don't think he's probably put much thought into that. He obviously wants to do well, but I don't think Alvin is concerned about what fantasy headlines are being written about him.
It is, man. I don't really, like I said, like I'm not a stat dude. I don't stack myself up against other guys. Like, I mean, we talk about Christian and all. Like, me and Christian talk. Like, I enjoy watching him play. Like, when I enjoy when he's able to do the things he does. And then, I mean, personally, obviously, I enjoy when I'm having success. But I think my message has been the same since I've been here. Like, I do whatever I got to do. Whatever's asked of me, I kind of just do that.
You talked to him about just kind of the system? Like, have you talked to him since?
No, I ain't really talked to him about the system. I just, we just talked. Yeah, I ain't really talked to him about the system, though.
You mentioned the new kickoffs, and you've had some good returns in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is going to be different, but how do you feel about the possibility of being a returner again in certain situations?
If I got to do it, I'll do it. It's cool. I mean, it is what it is.
Do you like the new kickoffs, though? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I don't really care for it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just something else to adapt to. Yeah, not that I don't like it, but it's just another thing to adapt to.
We were asking a bunch of players about whether they like it, they don't like it, or
I'm indifferent. Yeah, I'm indifferent. It is what it is.
So you don't look at it and say, this suits me, I could dominate this?
Just like, I mean, I feel like I could dominate any of it, so it's not like I feel like I have an advantage now with this rule. It's just another. If I get the ball in my hands, I feel good.
Right. But it'll probably be situational anyway. You'll probably
yeah.
All the time,
You mentioned looking at the OTA film. Like, are you watching that even when you aren't here?
I watch it. I got access to
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I'm talking about. With like, even though they're not at the, and let me say this about the kickoff rule, who cares? I mean, hey, come on. Like, I'm with Alvin on this one. I'm indifferent to it. They'll keep changing rules. Most of the rule changes don't matter. Could care less about the kickoff change. But like I said, with Alvin not being at the facility, ladies and gentlemen, it's 2024. I guarantee you, access to film of practices, access to film of anything they want, access to playbooks, access to any library of game tape and notes and news and whatever is available to them. You know, like he said, he has an iPad. I'm sure what he's doing in his house is pretty similar to what's going on at the practices. Now, obviously, there's a difference in watching it and doing it, but it's not lost on him what's happening in OTAs. And so keep that in mind as well.
To all this shit, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like I'm just not in the building and then nothing's happening. You know, I talk to these dudes. These are my teammates. I talk to some of the coaches. Like, I don't know. I think it's like a weird, like, little narrative going on. I don't know.
Could you maybe help explain to people who don't understand why it's so important for some players to stick with what has served them well, like you're saying the Miami thing and everything?
Yeah, I mean that's what I've done to prepare. I understand what kind of the word has been is doing something different and everybody being here, and I kind of just, for me it was just I kind of just stuck to what I know. I don't think any of my teammates took offense to it really. I still, like I said, I still talk to them. I talk to all these dudes, a lot of these dudes every other day, every day.
Again, be careful with what you're hearing. Like, for a veteran, if he does the same thing every offseason, okay. And they want to continue doing that, fine. I would, when it comes to this kind of stuff, you want to hear what the players are saying. You want to hear, is the noise coming from outside of the locker room or in the locker room? When we heard a lot of interviews last year after the games where players were talking about, locker room conversations or player-only meetings or cliques or certain players not being prepared. Like, we heard a lot of that talk from the players. We can then deduce that, okay, this is a real issue because we're hearing it from inside the locker room from the players. If you're hearing about, someone from outside the locker room, like a reporter or an analyst or whatever, saying, Alvin Kamara's not here, isn't that kind of weird? That might be weird to them because they're not in the group chats. They're not in the conversations. They're not in the text messages. They're not in the Zoom calls and the WebEx and they're not seeing all of that. They're only seeing what's happening at OTAs. And then a narrative gets built. And I'm glad that narrative can be put to rest.
It is what it is. Like, it's like, oh, well, there's different things pulling and this, that. Like, I had a family last year. It's not something that's pulling on me. Like, I work out 3 times before 1 o'clock. My daughter has swim lessons. Go do that. I eat lunch. I do it like I'm doing normal stuff. There's no extra stress. The most stressful thing for me right now is like my left rear tire has low pressure. Like, yeah, like that's like, what I'm saying?
Yeah, welcome to New Orleans. You drive around in New Orleans, your tires will have no pressure ever. I mean, when you get, tires, driving around these streets, driving around the city, the last thing you want to do is get a new tire. I'll tell you that much. Just get a $80 used tire because it's going to go low. It's going to go flat pretty soon anyways. You're driving in 4-foot hole, sinkholes basically in the middle of the street. God forbid it rains. If it rains, then who the hell even knows? You're driving through some of the worst roads ever seen to man or in New Orleans. And that's not even like in the city. That's just everywhere. So this is where tires go to die. I'll tell you that right now. Alvin, last year was a stressful situation. We had the court situation and everything that was happening with him, the suspension, all that looming large, on top of having to look at Pete Carmichael every day. Like, I'm sure all of that does weigh on a player. So to have all of that done, he probably is living pretty stress-free. He's probably living pretty chill. He's got to be feeling good. He's got to be feeling real good, which I think is another reason, like, as much of an energy boost as just the new coaching staff and all that is in general, like, throw in the fact that he can kind of come into the season polar opposite of how he came into the season last year. And that probably, besides the media saying, "Hey, where you been, pal?" Oh, I mean, really, like, guys, think about that. Think about if you took a couple, whatever. If every single, let's say you work at a company and every single June you take the same vacay and you're 7-8 years into your job, and let's say you get there and there was a boss change or something, and you get back from your yearly vacay, and the first thing you're being asked is like, "Where you been? What, you hate the team? You hate the new boss? Where you been?" Like, I bet that's like the most aggravating thing in the world. So beyond having to answer these questions, he's probably feeling good.
I'm saying everything else, I'm good. Like I feel great, So, yeah, that's that. I feel good. I'm doing what I've always done.
Do you feel like that gets missed sometimes? Like, you're talking about essentially just being human.
Great question. I don't know is this from WWL? I don't know who's asking this question. Great question. Talking about and I'll let Alvin go, but I agree 100% with. I know what he's going to say.
Do you feel like that gets missed in the glory of the NFL and maybe just pro sports in general?
Yeah, I think it do. Like with me, honestly, you can ask anybody that knows me. When the season is over, I'm not in football guy mode. I'm just Alvin. I feel like I've been that even throughout the season. I'm always just me. The sport is the sport. I've been blessed to be able to produce on the highest level and break records and be a Pro Bowler. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I'm always just I'm just Alvin. I'm not 41. I don't got a helmet on. I'm just a dude.
How do you feel about Christmas Eve and?
So, and that that's kind of what I was saying earlier. Some players do always have that helmet on. Some people are football guys, like Tom Brady's talked about it, Peyton Manning's talked about it, where they aren't. There is no off season. They don't take a break. They eat, breathe, sleep football. They care about the game. They watch the game. They break down the game. That's what they like to do. And their families and friendships and whatever is taking huge sacrifices, I'm sure. But some players don't, right? And Alvin, like he was talking about, it's like, where is Alvin? Alvin must hate the team. I can't believe Alvin's not here. And where is he? He's at his daughter's swim practice. He's a guy. He's a human being. Where is he? Spencer Rattler this and Jake Hayner's competing for this. And what about I was trying to think of that random Reisner, the left guard that everyone wanted to sign. What about signing left guard Reisner or whatever? Meanwhile, Alvin's on vacation. Alvin's on a yearly vacation or wherever he's at. You do have to remember that they're humans. They are human beings, and certain players are more human than others. Like he said, he doesn't wear number 41 every day of his life. He doesn't wear a helmet every day of his life. Sometimes he's just home. Sometimes he's just on vacation. Sometimes he's just at his kids' swim practice, and you do have to give some players grace. And I know it's hard because they are getting paid a lot of money to play a kid's game and they're glorified because of it. But sometimes you do have to give players grace, and you do have to understand that there's a human element to the game, and there's a human element to being a player. And not just that, but a lot of them are also young. I know Alvin's not, but a lot of the times when you're asking players all this stuff, they're also, sometimes they're 22, 23, 24 years old, moving to a brand new city, trying to just get their life together. It ain't easy. It ain't easy. So I think this is a good starter for that kind of conversation. And it's a really good starter too, Alvin's mindset during this, as you can see, is markedly different from some of the narratives that have been driven from other agencies. Like I said, trying to get a headline. It's really easy to be a reporter and go sit in airline drive or whatever and watch practice and say, "Oh, Alvin's not here. Is he holding out? Alvin's not here. Is he anti the team, or is he anti this?" And all of a sudden, you build this crazy narrative, and meanwhile, and that's just not the case at all. So, it's happens all the time. This isn't new, but this is right in your face of how that happens.
Green Bay.
I don't like cold weather, so we'll see. it's a game. I mean, I like Lambeau actually. I played there. We played there my rookie year, and then we played. I mean, obviously we was there for preseason, but it'll be a good game. It'll be a good game.
Christmas game went pretty well for you a few years ago.
Yeah, it did. A few years ago, though, you know, we got
holiday theme here.
Still have the Cleveland wetsuit.
Oh man, yeah. I probably threw that shit in the trash somewhere. That was cold. That was a cold one.
Yeah, I think Cleveland. I think that was one of the. Jesus, this is a crazy ad. But don't look at me like that, Ray-Ban. But I'm pretty sure the Cleveland game is like one of the coldest games on record. That was a couple of years ago. I think it was 2 years ago. That game was insane. But I've always heard Lambeau's not that cold. I've heard because the field is heated. I've heard they do a good job insulating the field and that it's actually on the field, not that cold at all. I'm sure in the stands and I'm sure in the sidelines it is. But I think Lambeau gets kind of like a mix-up of how cold it actually is. Ladies and gentlemen, great video with Alvin. Good to hear these player interviews. Very important to listen to these player interviews, see what they're thinking, where their mind is, about the offense, about them as humans, all that stuff. Good stuff. Good conversation. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are live tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Central to 8 p.m. Central, a crisp 2 hours. Reaction videos, voice messages. We'll check the Reddit. We'll check Twitter. We'll check. We'll read chat. We'll answer questions. We'll just chill. We'll just hang out, and we'll just do it. So, if you're available at that time and you want to watch, hang out with the face of the franchise, be here on this channel, Twitch and Twitter. All the links down below. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.